and own your power. I love that.
Look around the room. You'll see that you're not so alone after all, and that unconfidence could look like any of us.
And maybe your whole life you have been told that the best wins, but I'm telling you right now that the best known will win. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Grasp Confidence Podcast. Now, Keith Wright is a special guest, and he's our guest today, but he's a special guest because this is his second appearance on this podcast. So, round of applause, Keith. You made it to two whole episodes. I know.
You're very generous to me, Tara.
And now that everybody's heard your accent, they know where you're from. Yes, Keith, thank you so much for being a guest on our show again. And I would love for you to just recap and reintroduce yourself to us one more time.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, so I am a procurement and business strategy consultant. So I've been working typically in and around the building industry for about 30 years. And I've been on a bit of a wild ride. So the last 3 years, I've operated as a consultant. I had a long corporate career. And in 2021, took the brave decision to go and do something different. Same but different. So different in the sense of I went out on my own. The same in terms of it's still procurement strategy, category management, and kind of doing all the things that I really enjoyed in my corporate career, but without potentially all the red tape and kind of nonsense that I was putting up with for so many years. So since we last spoke, an awful lot's happened, probably for both of us. I'm sure we'll get into that. But yeah, really, really, really pleased to be here again and honoured that I'm the second guest. I mean, come on. I'll be getting a knighthood from you soon, Tara. That's so exciting.
I know. I'm doing it, right? On each side. A lot has happened. So I love what you said. You and I had similar paths. You went a year sooner than I as far as becoming a full-fledged, entrepreneur. And we had red tape. And part of the reason we wanted to start our own business and do our own thing is one, probably to see just what's possible, what we're capable of. But then two, because we wanted that freedom, it sounds like, right? To do our own thing and experiment. But since then, you've also written a book and it just got published. I would love to hear more about your book.
It did. So I have it. Here it is. It's not the only copy, by the way. There are lots of other copies available in all good bookstores and on Amazon. It's been pretty cool. I mean, it's interesting because I started writing it in December 2020, actually. One of the things that, we've talked about this before, but the power of consistency. And I just chipped away. So about 3 months it took me to kind of get most of what was in this little head of mine out onto paper, and then kind of went through probably actually most of 22, iterating it, beta readers, refining it. Eventually got a really good kind of contact through my network that helped me bring it to life, really. And I was so excited that in May this year, I think actually on your birthday, I also I would love to say it was because of your birthday, but it was also a pivotal moment. It was 3 years since I started the company. It was also my late dad's birthday. So it was kind of really poignant that I launched this book. And it's just been awesome. I mean, it's been so incredible. I sort of still pinch myself that I've got this book out there, and it is effectively a playbook, a guide, a process to how to do, as it says, the power of professional procurement. So kind of all the good, the bad, and the ugly that I've learned across all of those many years, great bosses, not so good bosses, great experiences, different businesses, different experiences from all sorts of things around the world, and been able to really bring this into this 3-step approach called the ACE method, which is analyze, create, and execute, which is all about effectively understanding your business, creating a plan, and then delivering it and executing it to the best possible way. So it's been really cool. And yeah, what we're kind of 2 months into it sort of being out in the universe. It's now sold in 7 countries, which I still pinch myself. I knew my mum would buy it. I mean, I probably bought it for her, if I'm honest, in the UK. So I knew I'd have one fan in the UK. But then, some contacts in the US, in Canada. Somebody bought in Japan last week. It's gone into Germany. It's gone into Spain. So yeah, really humbling that it's kind of gone into places I never thought I knew anybody, let alone someone that would invest and buy a copy of my book. So yeah, still pinching myself really that it's out there.
That is so cool. It's funny, the journey of an author, right? And now that you've written your book, you can really appreciate this. When you're writing the book, we don't always know who's going to read it, right? We don't know who it's going to reach. We certainly don't imagine, especially for a first-time author, that it's going to go into countries we've never been to, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of unreal. Like, especially when you start getting your reviews in, to see people from other countries holding up your book, and there they are in their country, in their land, and they're resonating with your words in your book. It's almost out of body, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's still odd. But then that's you sort of you relate that to how many books have we all read? I mean, I've always got multiple books, and we'll talk about yours because yours is on my second round actually, which is awesome. But when you sort of you just read stuff and you don't necessarily think about it in the context of, well, I don't until now, the context of somebody's written it. This is somebody's ideas, thoughts that's gone on that journey. You just don't necessarily think about it in that way until you realize as an author, how difficult it is to actually get it into that into a book and then launch it to the universe. You think, gosh, it is very, very surreal when someone's buying something that you've created that wouldn't have existed had you not created it. It's still kind of a bit funny thinking about it.
It is, but it's so cool. It's really building a legacy, right? And it's sharing the valuable knowledge that we all have, and I think that's important. We don't always know the impact our books or story or knowledge are going to create, but we need to put those things out there because it is building that legacy. But you brought up a point. So last year in September 2023, shortly after I published my book, you bought it. And per the advice in the book, you start gratitude journaling. So I want to talk about this because we're almost a year later into this. So this is kind of an unintended, fun project that we didn't know either of us were undertaking, especially probably you when you read my book. But you started gratitude journaling back then. And I'm kind of curious, as you've evolved, and you said it was your second time now reading the book. So as you've kind of personally evolved, as you have gone on your gratitude journey, I would be just really curious from a reader's perspective, how it changed your life.
Yeah, look, it's really interesting. And you're right. It was sort of not by design that I've kept a copy of your book by my bed actually since I kind of first had it, and it's kind of always there.
Oh,
and
wow.
so interestingly,
so cool.
So I haven't yet filled out the whole gratitude journal, but I'm now 580 because I like numbers. And actually, you're today 580 is round 2 podcast with Tara. So that's the thing I've just written in my gratitude journal today. But honestly, it's got so many things in it, and it's interesting because, and we talked about this, I think, on one of the first the first podcast, because I'd only just started it. But it's so interesting when you start capturing things that are positive, and just that mindset of it's far easier to stop bitching and moaning about stuff and capturing things that are amazing. I mean, there's some horrible conflicts in the world. I woke up this morning, just wrote, waking up in a safe environment where I get to live and work freely. Such a great thing this morning because I was looking at pictures of some awful things happened yesterday. I've got to stop watching the news at the start of the day. But you just things that often you take for granted. And that's the point, isn't it? You put yourself in this positive framework where it's so easy. It could be something really small, just like having a sing on the school journey with my daughter and just seeing her laugh and giggle and smile. Now, those little things, because you forget them. because stuff gets in the way and life's so busy. And it's really therapeutic actually reading back, because you generally forget. You remember the big stuff, good or bad, because those kind of stay in your brain. But it's the small little moments that pass us by all day long, and if you're not careful, they just get omitted from your memory forever. So I've sort of got into this healthy. I'm always this gratitude journal. It's always visible because I would try and capture it in the moment. But then, yeah, it's kind of. Why did I start reading it again? I think I just thought, why not? I just started rereading the book. And it's super interesting because I'm now more conscious. The first time I read it, it was I didn't really know what it was, and was kind of, and I remember joking to you and said I was a little bit, thought this is a bit flaky. This isn't kind of for me. This doesn't sound right. And then I've got, obviously went through the book, and then having started to go through it, and I'm up to, I'll tell you probably know your book better than I do. I'm on The Power of Action. I'm on page, I don't know what page I'm on, about 88 or something. And it's really interesting because you start reflecting on how different, or at least for me, how different my mindset is the second time round to the first time, because I can see the things you're talking about, I can relate to them, because I'm implementing them. And obviously, because then you're more conscious, you start recognizing things. And obviously there's things you miss, because you can't consume everything the first time you read something. Certain things will stick better than others. But I've started going, oh yeah, I remember this point now, and I'm doing it, and I can see it, and I know how that's impacting me positively. But equally, there's some other things I'm thinking, yeah, I need to double down on that. And I need to make sure that, these types of things, don't be too hard on yourself. Give them gratitude for the person you were. I was in your bits at the end of each chapter are so powerful, and I haven't written in the book, but I've kind of gone through the questions and gone, this time round, right, I'm hanging on to this thing that, if I'm honest, was perhaps still a little bit scarred from the first time round, but felt so much different when I was reflecting on it, going, thank you. I'm thanking you for that moment. That's helped me be the person I am, the business I've created, the dad, the father, the husband, all those sorts of things. It's created the things that I am, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you. And I feel like that's a different release of energy to when I read it the first time, which is just really cool. It's really cool.
I love that. It's gratitude comes forgiveness. Sometimes forgiveness of ourselves. I think a lot of time when we think of forgiveness, we think of a external, I need to forgive someone else. And sometimes we do. But how often do we hold grudges against ourselves? And I actually think it's more in proportion that we actually hold grudges against ourselves than we even do other people sometimes. And we don't necessarily know it consciously. But that's one of the first powerful thing, is just having gratitude for the person that you were. I feel like that's so powerful because it releases you of those bonds, those detrimental holdings that you have that you don't even realize you have. And when you say and express gratitude for something, especially something that maybe on the surface doesn't look very favorable, when you can find the gratitude, I think that's pretty powerful, because it really opens up your mind to an unlimited world of possibilities.
Yeah, 100%.
Very powerful, Keith. So, the first thing that you mentioned was, for today, was having gratitude simply for the fact that you're in a safe place. Your environment is safe. You wake up in a nice, comfortable bed. But beyond that, you have a family unit. You're loved. Right there, those two things don't sound like a lot. But isn't it everything?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then we know there's always somebody significantly worse off than us at any moment in time. Somebody that's going through some trauma, some issues, some difficulties. They might look like on the surface at times they're not, but everyone has their own kind of issues. And I think that's it. It doesn't have to be, I'm so grateful I've got this brand new car, or I've had this holiday. It's just those real simple, often things that we absolutely take for granted. Say just waking up. There's people that don't wake up every day. There's people that don't wake up and jump out of bed or able to exercise. Then there's just so many things that we can focus on that are absolutely things to be grateful for. Yeah, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things all the time.
All the time. I think about that every time because we're all humans, right? And myself included. And I sometimes dread working out and going to the gym. And then I think, no. I'm grateful that I can do this. I'm grateful that I have a body that is mobile, that is able to lift weights, that, is strong. And you rethink, if you put gratitude in any situation, you get an increase. And then by the time you've done that little pep talk for yourself and realized how much you have to be grateful for about working out, you start to drive the car to the gym. You start to get the motivation to do it, right?
Yeah.
And
I always think you're a long time sort of sedentary when you're old, or maybe not even old. Yeah. So I'm sort of thinking, yeah, do the things now. We've made wife and I recently some very bold changes actually about our lifestyle, that we're actually moving house in the next kind of month or so, and we've made a decision now to do something that we would have done in 10 years time, and said, actually, we're going to be grateful for this opportunity. We're going to change something dramatic, and free ourselves up to go and live very differently in the next sort of 10 years, still working and doing all those things. But, we've kind of, rather than wait, don't wait 10, 15 years and then who knows, what situation we might be in. Let's just do it now. Let's take action, go and do something different and see what happens. Go on life's journey.
Yeah. And that kind of created a boldness, it sounds like, too, right? Like, started off as gratitude, and you're already a confident guy. I want to say that to everybody listening, because it's not like you wanted to read the book to necessarily gain confidence. Of course, everybody can benefit from more confidence, but that gratitude may have created a boldness, and then paired it with the action, it sounds like, helped ignite some interesting personal changes that maybe would have been pushed off a little farther. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I suppose the other part of gratitude is you have to take accountability. And then once you're, whether it's good or bad, take accountability, be grateful that you've then owned whatever that situation it is. And then, as I said, like we talked about wife and I, well, who's responsible? Well, we are. Life doesn't happen to you. Well, it will do if you let it, but you have to take control of life. There's only one or two people that can fix it. There's only really you that can fix your own life to a certain degree. So, we took some, as I said, some bold decisions to do some different stuff, and took accountability and ownership, and said, well, let's do this. Let's go and see what happens and see where this takes us. But I do think it comes back to, that ultimately it is challenging it, owning it, being grateful for the things that you're presented, and then, as I said, go and be bold and go and do something that's different, rather than just sit there moaning about the same old stuff every single day and never do anything about it.
And it's interesting once you start practicing this gratitude and these 5 steps of the book, and they're not hard steps, but it's something that's a continual thing. I mention this all the time. It's not that, check the box, you've done gratitude, check the box, you've done responsibility, action, site, purpose, whatever. It's a continual progression, and every single day it's something to work towards. And you don't ever finish gratitude, right? It's not anything that you can finish. It's something that you develop a relationship with. Right.
Yeah.
And recently you have done something incredible. Tell us about the walk that you recently did, because my feet were hurting just watching your stories on LinkedIn. But I would love to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I chair a charity in my sort of local community. It's a charity that's very special, and we look after or help and support families that are often just going through a bit of a tough time. And we have some volunteers that go and do one-to-one help and support in their homes. Really all about making sure the family can deal with things that have been thrown at them. And it's our 30th year this year. So we're having a celebration. We just had our AGM actually last week. We had a bit of a celebration around, what a great year we've had, and importantly, the role we have in our community. So it started as 30. It's got to be 30 miles. So I thought initially I'm going to get 10 people. No, actually, I was going to have 30 people to do a mile. I thought actually that sounds quite complex. Although I'm in supply chain, that sounds quite complex. Maybe I'll get 10 people to do 3 miles. And then it ended up with, why don't I just do 30 miles and people can just tag along? It was only when I plotted them out and thought 30 miles is quite long, actually. It's quite a long distance as I was sort of looping through the villages near where I am. So yes, I set off at 7:45 a week last Sunday and got home at 20 past 5 in the evening. So 9 hours and 11 minutes. Of walking and did 30 miles. If you're interested, 62,000 steps and about 3,000 calories. So it probably just about got rid of the Lucozade and Red Bull and crap I was eating throughout the day to keep me going. My legs have just about returned to normal. I did my first workout since that Sunday yesterday, and I still couldn't jump particularly well with the calves. But it was amazing. I mean, I think I raised about 850 pounds or something, which about 40 plus people supported me. And yes, if nothing else, it's raised a lot of interest in terms of the community. I've had sponsors from various different places. So it was good. I now know I'd never done a marathon actually. And I realized, I mean, it's a stupid thing to say. I know 30 is more than 26, but it hadn't dawned on me when I got to 26.2 miles that I'd actually just completed a marathon, albeit walking, not running. So that was kind of cool. It's the furthest thing I've ever done in a day other than, on a train or a plane or a car or something.
That's quite incredible. I think the most I've ever done was 20 something thousand steps in a day, 25,000, I think. And wow, I was feeling it. So when you had your post, I was like, man, I could feel it in my bones. But you know what? That's the greatest feeling though, after a workout like that. And you just melt, right? You just melt into the bed or in the couch or whatever. But I love, one of my favorite things about you, Keith, is your community mindset. It's your collaborative mindset. It's the ability to look outside yourself, see a need elsewhere, and fill it. And, that's a kind of a rare quality because that's self-leadership. Not enough people see beyond themselves that, to help another person or community member. Was it always that way? Did you always have this collaborative mentality, or would you say that it's been increasing for you?
It's a good question. I think I've always had a collaborative mindset. I think, if I'm honest, in the corporate world, I didn't have enough time for myself. Now, I could have, looking back, I think, well, I could have changed that potentially. But then I think the world was a very different place pre-COVID. I think there was a different mindset around the expectations when you were in corporate. I remember thinking, I'm going to work a day at home. And it was almost, oh, what are you up to? Are you sneaking off this month with your day at home? It's just this completely different attitude. Obviously now I kind of work from home all the time, but and I've got a good boss. He's really kind. But now I think one of the things I did when I left corporate, I said, I'm going to set my life up in the way I want it to be. So I made a very conscious decision to think about how I could start giving back. And, it's the most powerful thing, even if you don't give money, giving time, giving resource, giving knowledge, just helping others. And so I kind of set this up. I think the kind of role found me to a certain degree in terms of this, this chair role. And I just gave it a go. But it was interesting though, because I remember early on, and I don't know if I shared this, but my wife and I mean, she's amazing. It supports me an awful lot. And I was talking about, I think I just got a non-exec role in this chair role, and I was really nervous. And she's like, "What are you worrying about?" And I said, "I don't know. I've never chaired a charity. What if I make a mistake or get it wrong, or I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver or something?" And she was like, "Just go for it." And I thought stupid. Yeah, you're getting sacked from something that you're volunteering for. I mean, come on, it's like it's not like it's going to change in that sense. And I remember just saying yes. And I think since then, it's just as much as, I don't know whether this links back to gratitude and risk taking, but fear can get in the way of so much. I mean, you're a shining example of someone that's kind of put fear firmly behind her, and you've changed your course so dramatically. And I sort of watch the person you are and reading the book and hearing the story that you've been on. So it's very inspirational. But that's the problem. You can talk yourself in or out of anything, and sometimes that ability just to say yes and just see what happens. And in my case, that collaboration thing and giving back in community, I think it was always there. I just allowed other things to dictate my life rather than me say, look, it's my life, it's my time, I'm going to establish. And sometimes it's tricky, I mean, I have weeks where I think, I don't know how I'm going to fit all this in this week. There's an awful lot, and you just have to sort of do your best and prioritize things in a way that enables you to get it all done. But it is amazing. It's very powerful when you do it. But I suppose I've perhaps not really reflected on it. I suppose that's one of those things when you're busy, you just kind of, you can plow on at 100 miles an hour. I mean, I've even got my little whiteboard here, and I've got my big goals for the year, and I've ticked off like 4 of them already. Like get the book out, do an international sort of speaking gig and these sorts of things. And when you start putting those big objectives down, sometimes you can step back and say, do you know what? I've done all right. I've delivered some stuff. Give yourself a bit of pat on the back. I don't know whether it's a human thing or a British thing, or you often just say, well, it's just what you do. You just carry on. You don't really think about the impact you're necessarily having. You're just sort of cracking on to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing.
Yeah,
that felt like a very long answer to that question. Sorry, I went off on one, Tara.
I love your explanation because I think gratitude helps build reflection. And kind of like what you're saying, we can all judge our success based on someone else all day, regardless of where we live in the world. But it's really, taking note of what we have accomplished and saying, you know what, that's pretty good. I've done pretty good. I've accomplished something. And sometimes it's something other people only dream about. And to me, that's success. If it's something that I once dreamed about that became a reality for me, you know what? I've achieved something great. And a lot of times too, especially the more successful we become in life, it's easy to lose track of those things, right? Because a lot of times we equate to success with, well, I'm not worth $20 million yet. But what are you doing, right? So we can look at what we don't have all day long and always feel like we're in the negative, or we can appreciate what we do have and feel a sense of increase. And again, that's the power of gratitude. It really is that simple, everybody. That I don't know of a lot of work out there that equates confidence and gratitude together, but for me, it was the only doorway forward, because I needed to feel that gratitude and be able to express it in order for me to progress, in order for me to do other things. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But it's not always easy, Keith, because gratitude, sometimes people don't know where to start, especially if we feel like we have nothing to be grateful for. Right? Maybe we're going through a bad time. And you mentioned that a little bit ago. Maybe you're going through like traumatic experience or a loss or something like that. I'm curious your advice, since this is the second time you're reading the book. No pressure. No pressure. What would you say would be a good first step for somebody that says, gratitude? Come on. Because there's a lot of folks out there that are saying that right now. A lot of people thinking it's just a buzzword. A lot of people thinking that it's just semantics. What would you say?
I'm good. I tell you what, let's have a test. So I'm gonna read. Let's see what my first ever one was in my book. Oh, it's so interesting. It's about Home Start. So Mulberry Homes, this isn't an advertising plea, by the way. So they did a charity golf day for Home Start, raised £6,000 for us, which then increased to £8,000. I made a note. My second one, Dancing with Louise. Louise is my wife, at the back to school disco. It was a shocking disco in Maudsley. I'm really sorry, Maudsley, if you're listening. But we had a few drinks and had a giggle. Then Ellie made me brekkie on Sunday morning, and then I sunbathed and played Guess the Song with Ellie in the garden. There you go. There's my 4. So completely random. Could be the smallest thing, and I would have forgot about that. And I can now picture the corner of my garden sitting having a giggle in the sun back in when we had a summer in Britain. It feels like a long time ago. So that's a good memory. And I don't know, to me, there's 2 things I've always tried to be. One is being open and one is being curious. And it's a bit like people that say, I don't like that. And you say, have you ever had it? No. Well, how do you know you don't like it then? Well, I just don't think I'll like it. And you go, but how would you ever? It could be the best thing you've ever had in your life. What if it's not, however you described it, a buzzword or something. What if it is that thing that just takes you from being slightly negative, slightly down, thinking nothing goes right for poor old me, and just starts changing a couple of things in your mind. And I think, when I mentioned when we first spoke, a few weeks ago about this, I was genuinely really surprised at how much I reflected on my journey reading back the book. And this isn't a scripted thing. I approached you and said, this is really interesting. I'm really interested to read this book again. So I just go, just stop being a doubting Thomas. Go and try it. You just never know. If you try it and it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not gonna change your life if you don't try it. It might just change your life if you do try it. And also, you don't need to have mega expectations of it. Just write some stuff down. Be in the moment. If you've gone to the fridge and there's food in it, you're winning because you're not starving. So write it in your book. If you turn the tap on and cold running water comes out, guess what? You're not going to die of thirst in the next day or 2. So there is absolutely no reason on this earth that you can't find something to be grateful for. And then it just becomes addictive. It's like, I hate, if I've missed a day because I've been somewhere and I didn't bring my journal, I have to sort of sit there and catch up, see if I can get more entries into my book and go back. But it's hard actually if you try and go back. It's that bit of being in the moment.
It's that present mindedness. And that's really, I feel like the key to the superpower of gratitude is the present minded state that it puts you in. Because so much of our life is a distraction, thinking about the future or the past. And so little of it is actually spent in the now. But in the now is where our power lies, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I love that. Keith, wow. I am so inspired. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful supporter of my book and of spreading gratitude on your platforms. And I see your content. It's amazing. You talk about your work that you do in business, but you also interlace it with your lessons on gratitude, and it helps uplift and inspire your audience in the most authentic way by teaching them that, hey, places like LinkedIn aren't just for places to talk about business. They're places to talk about finding your tribe and personal growth. And I think all of that is really important. So I appreciate you. I'm a big fan of yours as well. And for everybody listening right now, where can we, number 1, connect with you? Number 2, where can we get your book?
So LinkedIn. So someone that looks like me that's got the same name as me. I don't know what my bio is called, but LinkedIn is where I hang out most of the time. I am on TikTok, but probably LinkedIn is the place to go. I mean, I have got a website, www.kwrightconsultancy.co.uk. There's a load of stuff on there. There's a page on the web that takes you straight into the book. There's a piece on my homepage on LinkedIn that, again, something you taught me to, which was Linktree, that's got a link to all the different places you can interact. It's got my book link on there too. So lots of ways, but probably LinkedIn is the main destination to hang out with someone that looks and talks like me and has my name.
You'll know him when you see him, guys.
Yeah.
Keith, great. But thank you so much, Keith, for being a guest on the show. And again, this is season 3 capping off. What a way to start season 3 with an expression of gratitude. And with that note, I just want to say I am so grateful for each one of you who listens to this podcast, subscribes, leaves a review, shares it with your friends. My goal is to help spread confidence to the world, and I can only do that with your support. So thank you so much for subscribing and tuning in every single week, and I will catch you on the next episode. Take care.